Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I'd love it if you could leave a comment letting me know where you're listening from around the world. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe if you're enjoying this video. Story 1. I used to think nothing could scare me. Not ghosts, not shadows, not things that went bump in the night. Growing up in Minnesota, you get used to silence, darkness, the kind of cold that bites your bones. And the stories? We heard them all. The tall tales, the legends, spirits in the woods, creatures that fed on flesh. My uncles called them bush myths, stuff people whispered after a few too many drinks. Especially one legend, the Wendigo. My Uncle Henry told that one best. Said it knocks before it comes. Said if you hear the knock, you've already been seen. Marked. I always thought he was just trying to scare us. Until the winter I stayed alone in his cabin after he died. It was tucked deep in the woods near Leech Lake, barely held together. The floor creaked if you so much as breathed on it. The windows were small and dusty, and the fireplace hissed when you fed it dry wood. But I needed a break. I had just gone through a rough breakup, lost my job, and I figured a little solitude would clear my head. The first few days were peaceful. Just snow, trees, and me. I hiked during the day, chopped some firewood, read books I never had time for. I even found some of Uncle Henry's old journals in the attic. Pages filled with erratic handwriting, drawings of stick figures with antlers, and warnings scribbled in red ink. It knocks to see if you're awake. I chuckled and tossed the journal aside. But on the fourth night, December 13th, I heard it. Knock, knock, knock. 3 slow, hollow raps on the front door. I sat bolt upright in bed. The fire had burned low, and the temperature had dropped. I could see my breath, floating like mist in the dark. My heart beat loud in my ears. I grabbed the flashlight and crept toward the door. No footsteps in the snow outside. No sound, just stillness pressing against the walls. I peeked through the curtains. No one. But when I opened the door, bare footprints. Human, bare, deep, and worst of all, they were facing the door, not approaching. No trail in or out, just a set of bare feet, standing there like someone had appeared out of nowhere. I didn't sleep that night, just sat near the fire with a mug of coffee and a hunting knife, ears straining for the tiniest sound. But nothing came, not that night. The next night, I kept every light on, sat with my shotgun across my lap, and at exactly 3:17 a.m., knock, knock, knock. Only this time, it wasn't the door. The knocks came from above, from the roof. I froze. Every instinct in my body screamed not to move. I strained my ears, and I swear I heard something crawling. Clawed feet, slow, deliberate. It circled the roof, scraping now and then, like talons dragging along the shingles. And then a sound I'll never forget. A slow, wet breathing coming from the chimney, followed by a whisper. My name, over and over. Aaron, Aaron. It hissed like wind slipping through cracks. But I knew it wasn't wind. That night, I boarded the chimney shut. Didn't help. The next night, the whisper came from the walls, then from beneath the floorboards. I even heard it behind the bathroom mirror. Every night, 3:17. Same whisper, same breath. On the 5th night, I lost it. Screamed into the woods. What the hell do you want from me? The forest answered with silence, until a knock came again. But this time, it wasn't 3 knocks. It was 6. Knock, knock, knock. Knock, knock, knock. Like it was mocking me, laughing. I packed my bags by candlelight. Didn't even wait for daylight. Drove my Jeep through the snow, tires skidding, barely able to see through the frost-covered windshield. When I got to town, I stopped at a diner. The waitress noticed how shaken I looked. I told her what happened, hoping she'd laugh or roll her eyes. But she just frowned. You said your uncle's cabin was near Leech Lake. I nodded. She leaned in close, lowered her voice. You're not the first. Every couple winters, someone comes running out of those woods. Pale, eyes wild, talking about knocks and voices and footprints that go nowhere. I never went back to that cabin. It's still there, I think, rotting, falling in on itself. But sometimes, when the wind is right, and I'm alone in my apartment, I swear I hear it again. Knock, knock, knock. And I check the door. Every damn time. Story 2. I was a waitress at a roadside diner off Highway 17 in northern Ontario. A place so remote you could scream at the top of your lungs and nothing would answer except the wind. The kind of place where the snow falls sideways. The drifts bury the windows by morning, and the only customers are truckers too tired to keep driving or locals too drunk to make it home. The diner's name was Riverside Eats, though there was no river in sight. Just pine trees, rusting snowplows, and the long, white roads stretching into nowhere. I've been working the night shift for nearly 3 years. Same routine, same dead hours between midnight and 4. That night, it started like any other. I had 3 customers, 2 truckers nursing bottomless mugs of weak coffee, and a guy named Dale who came in every Thursday to flirt and leave a crumpled $5 tip. The wind was howling outside, whistling like something alive. The cook, Tony, was smoking behind the kitchen door, and I was leaning on the counter, watching snow swirl under the fluorescent lights in the parking lot when the bell above the door dinged. He walked in. The first thing I noticed was the silence. That soft muttering truckers always do. Stopped. The buzz from the neon sign in the window. Cut out. Even the wind paused for half a breath, like it didn't want to announce him. He was tall, not basketball player tall, wrong tall, like stretched, like someone had grabbed his head and ankles and pulled. His skin was the color of dirty snow. His eyes got his eyes, like dead glass, hollow, and he didn't blink once. His clothes were torn, frayed at the cuffs and knees, but they weren't dirty, just wrong. As if the dirt itself was afraid to touch him. I swallowed my unease, because what else could I do? I gave him the usual smile and said, "Table for one?" He didn't answer, just raised one long, bony finger and pointed to the booth in the far corner, the one by the window that never thawed. I'd worked there long enough to know that spot had its own chill. Even on warm days, the glass stayed fogged, the frost etching weird patterns no one could scrub off. We usually taped a closed sign across it and blamed a broken seal. But he walked right to it and sat down, placing his long hands, knuckles like knots, on the table. When I brought the menu, he didn't touch it, just looked up, unblinking, and said in a voice that was more breath than sound, "Raw. Steak tartare." I asked, though I already knew. He shook his head, slow and deliberate. "Raw." I took the order back to Tony, who gave me a weird look, but didn't argue. He sliced a thick slab of beef, didn't even season it, just slapped it on a plate. I brought it out, set it in front of the man. He didn't eat right away. He stared at the meat, then at me. Then he smiled. That smile, his teeth weren't human. They were thin, sharp, too many of them crowded into a mouth that looked like it could unhinge if it wanted to. I turned away before I gagged. 10 minutes later, the first trucker, Bob, I think, started coughing. A deep, wet sound that echoed through the quiet diner. When I looked over, he was hunched over his table, blood spattered on his napkin. Then the second guy, Jerry, stood up fast, knocking over his stool. He pointed out the window, hands shaking. "There's something out there," he said. "A deer." "No." "A man." "No." "It's standing on two legs." I rushed to the window, but saw nothing. Just snow, swirling thick and angry under the lights. When I turned back to the booth, the man was gone. The door hadn't opened. The bell hadn't rung. His plate was empty, and on the floor by his seat, there was blood. Not a lot, just enough. Then I noticed Bob clutching his arm. His sleeve was soaked through with red. I ran to him and pulled the fabric back. Chunks were missing. Actual chunks of flesh, bitten. I nearly dropped right there on the floor. Tony called 911, and I did my best to keep Bob conscious while Jerry screamed and refused to go near the window again. By the time the ambulance arrived, Bob was babbling about something whispering in his ear. Said it smelled like burnt hair and cold fire. But what shook me most was the window by the booth. The frost, gone, melted completely. In its place was a single handprint, long-fingered and pressed hard into the glass. And next to it, a face, stretched, too long, impossibly thin, no nose, just two burning indentations where eyes should be, and a slit of a mouth that curled at the edges like it was smiling. We closed the diner for a week. Tony quit, moved to Sudbury, never answered my calls after that. Bob lost the use of his arm, said he still hears the whispering sometimes, especially when the temperature drops. Me? I quit too, packed my bags and left Ontario. But sometimes, when the wind picks up at night and the air gets bitter cold, I swear I hear the diner bell ding. And I see that smile, waiting, always waiting. Story 3. The snow was falling in sheets the day the call came through. A group of 3 hikers had gone missing deep in the Canadian Rockies, last seen near a ridge known as Devil's Back. I'd always hated that name. Sounded like the start of a bad joke. But I was part of Alberta's winter rescue unit. When people vanished, we went after them. It was early January, and everything was ice. The air stung your skin like needles, and even breathing felt like swallowing glass. We set out at dawn. There were 5 of us on snowmobiles, bundled up like astronauts. The woods were eerily quiet, like the world had frozen mid-sentence. By dusk, we found their camp, or what was left of it. Tents torn wide open, not cut by a knife or clawed by a bear. Ripped like paper from the inside out. Sleeping bags shredded. Blood in the snow, frozen black like tar. But no bodies. No backpacks. No signs of animals or avalanche. Just one strange thing. The fire was still warm. That sent a chill through me that had nothing to do with the cold. Fires die fast in these temperatures unless someone's there to feed them. That meant we were close. Real close. We split into pairs to search the area, but I ended up alone. My partner, Mike, veered off after spotting something in the trees. A shadow, he said, and then his voice vanished from the radio. I tried calling back, but all I got was static. By now, night had fallen, and the temperature was dropping hard. I had maybe an hour before frostbite started chewing through my fingers. I should have turned back, should have waited for the others. But then I saw the tracks. Barefoot, no boots, no snowshoes, just bare human feet pressed deep into the powder, toes spread like claws, walking in a straight line into the trees. I followed. My legs were heavy, each step a slow grind through knee-deep snow. Pines loomed above like silent watchers, thick and dark. The wind had stopped. No rustle, no animal sounds, nothing. Just the whisper of my own breath and the mask and the crunch of snow under my boots. Then I saw it. At first, it looked like a tree, tall and still. But trees don't move, and they sure as hell don't turn their heads. It was massive, tall enough to brush the lower branches. Its limbs were all wrong, too long, too thin, like something stretched them beyond what bones should allow. The torso was gaunt, ribs like knives on a papery skin. The head, Jesus, it had antlers, not like a deer's, more like twisted branches, gnarled and sharp, crusted with ice. Its eyes glowed, a deep ember red, burning from sockets sunken into a face that didn't look quite human anymore. And then it moved. Fast, too fast. It vanished behind a tree, then reappeared closer. I didn't think. I just ran. Branches slapped my face. Snow stung my eyes, and my lungs screamed with each frozen breath. I didn't look back. Whatever that thing was, it wasn't meant to be seen. It was ancient, wrong, hungry. Somehow, I made it to an old ranger tower we used for fire spotting in the summers. It was barely more than a shack on stilts, but it was shelter. I slammed the door shut, bolted it, and climbed the ladder up to the lookout. The wind had picked up again, howling like it was warning me. Or maybe laughing. I tried the radio. Dead. My phone. Dead. Even my emergency beacon was flickering. For hours I sat in the dark, watching the trees below. The moon cast long shadows across the snow. I could barely see, but then I spotted it, standing just below the tower. Still, motionless, like a statue made of bone and bark. Head tilted back, those ember eyes staring straight at me. It didn't blink, didn't move, just watched. I didn't sleep, couldn't. I kept the rifle close, but somehow I knew bullets wouldn't do a damn thing. Not to something like that. It was still there at dawn, but when the sun rose high enough to touch the treetops, it was gone. No tracks. No broken branches, like it had melted into the woods. They found me by afternoon, half frozen, barely conscious. I kept asking about the others. They found Mike's radio, torn in half. The others were scattered. Equipment, torn clothing, but no people, just bones. And the bones, they weren't chewed by wolves. They were cracked open, hollowed out, and the marks on them. Teeth. Human teeth. I quit the team that spring. Moved to Calgary. I don't hike anymore. I don't camp. I don't even look at the woods when I drive past. Because every now and then, when the wind's just right and the snow starts to fall, I swear I still hear it. Crunch. 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 Bare feet walking across the snow, coming for the warm ones, the full ones, and always, always hungry.